Welcome to the first day of the Law of Attraction Morning Routine Program. Now on this day, we're going to be mainly focused on understanding meditation and how that is so important with the Law of Attraction. I'm also going to be providing to you the actual audio programs that you can use that can guide you along the process and make it so that it's something that's really easy to do. Now let me first off say that when it comes to the Law of Attraction, why is meditation so important? Well, the idea is that when we are able to see things as neutral, when we are able to really let go of resistance, that's going to be an important factor when it comes to the Law of Attraction. Because if we are feeling resistance, the idea is that we're actually blocking us from experiencing what we want because our emotions are what aligns us to certain experiences and to us manifesting and creating what we want. So remember that with the Law of Attraction, it has to do with feeling the emotions, thinking the thoughts, and taking the actions towards whatever our desire is. And when we are emotionally feeling resistance, it's like even though we might be focused on getting what we want, on maybe a certain job or attracting the right person, but if we are focused on it, feeling the resistance, then we're actually holding it away from us because our feeling is negating the actual experience. Now, the daily habit of meditation and really incorporating it into our life has so many benefits. There's science that shows that when we meditate consistently or meditate at all, we reduce the amount of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. We're able to increase the amount of serotonin and dopamine, which makes us feel happy, makes us feel more focused. And that's where a lot of the power is. And I remember that when I learned this years ago, this was, as I've said many times, the biggest game changer in my whole life. It allowed me to let go of a lot of the negative thoughts that I was consistently thinking, which allowed me to then attract circumstances into my life that I actually prefer. I remember that when I learned meditation, I worked a sales commission job at Nordstrom's. Within doing this and being able to really have more clear thoughts, I remember that when I went back to work, everybody couldn't figure out what was up with me because I was this guy that had ADHD, that was always had all this energy and was always very loud and kind of obnoxious. And all of a sudden, I still have a lot of energy, but it's much more grounded. And from that point going on, my sales went from selling about $2,000 to $3,000 a day, which means I was making about $200 or $300 per day, to all of a sudden making about $400 to $500 a day, which was a huge increase. And it was something that lasted for a long time because I was able to feel more present to the moment. So this can directly affect the Law of Attraction. And what I'm going to do is show you how to really neutralize your own thoughts, how to really understand that you don't have to wake up every morning and be reactive to the environment, to be reacting to what you're thinking or be reacting to what's happening outside. Now, this actually starts with right when we get out of bed. Now, right when we wake up, the most powerful thing we can do is learn how to observe our thoughts. Now let me ask you a question. What is the next thought that comes into your mind? Now take and hear the silence in between, and what is the next thought that comes into your mind? Now you'll find that when you pay attention and you get into that alert state of being, it might take a couple seconds for you to think a thought. That's the space in between. That's the alert presence to where we can get into the space more often, and especially right when we wake up, that's when it has the most power. Now let me tell you why this is so important to do right when you wake up in the morning. Well, when you wake up in the morning, you're waking up from out of being in a delta state of sleep activity, which means your brainwave patterns are in a delta state. You are then moving into a theta state, to an alpha state, to a beta state, which is the awake states of being. Now, when we wake up in the morning, that's where we have most influence over our subconscious mind, and that impacts the rest of our day because that's deeper level of the subconscious mind. Now, we have about 20-30 minutes of when we wake up in the morning of when we are lingering in between these states of being before we primarily get into an alpha or beta state throughout our day, which is when we're like watching TV, it's when we're talking to other people, when we're thinking about the medial tasks that we have to do. That's more of a beta alpha state. Now what we can learn to do is to generate the emotions that we want and to really focus on what we want right when we get up in the morning and right when we're getting out of bed. Now, the power of this is we begin to generate and wire in the emotions that we're feeling right when we wake up so that that becomes a dominant part of who we are. Have you ever realized that maybe if you wake up in the morning and you stub your toe or you start thinking some negative thoughts about something that happened the day before, how that causes momentum throughout the whole day? Well, a lot of that has to do with the influence that has over our subconscious mind and how our state of being influences that. So right when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you want to do is to focus on what you want to experience, is to focus on gratitude for what you already have in your life. And as you put the awareness from being in the head and into the body, that's where you start to really feel more present to the moment and you start to generate positive emotion. So what I do is right when I'm waking up in the morning, I put my hands over my heart like this and I feel the sensation of whatever I want to experience or for whatever I'm grateful for. I simply focus on positive emotion. You could focus on the gratitude for having a job, the gratitude of living in the house you live in with having the kind of family you have. You could focus on gratefulness for having food to eat. All of these things are things that as you focus on, you start to generate positive emotion. And because you wire it in right when you wake up, you're making it much easier for you to feel those emotions throughout the rest of your day. So that's the first part. The next part, and we're going to get into it right now, is the actual meditation part. I'm going to show you the meditation that I use because right when I wake up in the morning, I do that little exercise. It takes just a minute or two. And then what I do is I get straight out of bed and I go straight over to my meditation station, which isn't something that you have to have, but I have a designated spot that I use and I'll show you exactly what I do. So let's go over there right now.